And that's what I want to do, is leave this impression that that's how we achieve. Now, I've already bought my final home. It's going to be in Port Townsend, Washington. And these are the scenes you see in my community. And that's why I bought Port Townsend. It was the town, after so much of my travel, where I felt, okay, I can age here. I can age here gracefully. The people work together. We have more miles of trails per capita than any place in the world. We have a downtown, and we have an uptown, and we only have 9,000 people. We have festivals that just never end. So I think it's important that once we focus on our seniors, on making sure we all have that mobility, that access, then we're going to achieve one of our greatest of all dreams. Next, to support the ma and pa stores. Now, I'm not saying give up on the franchise stores or the big boxers, but they do not give you back anywhere near as much money as the ma and the pa. Ma and pa gives you back 60 cents on every dollar. It gets recycled. Franchise stores, 20 cents on every dollar. Big box, 6 cents. It leaves. The money goes somewhere else. So how do we do that? We build a city center. We make the city center hardy. So I'm going to show you how you do that. Essentially, any town on a lake, this isn't real, it's Fort Pierce, circa a long, long time ago. Notice the streets orient to the water. Notice the block form. It's all quite good. Over time, you're going to see what happened to Fort Pierce. It got overbuilt for the car. And it became this massive sea of asphalt for driving, for parking, for everything. And it lost its value or its meaning and certainly its character. And about 20 years ago now, a group of us got together and crafted a vision. And as a result of working on that vision, this is pretty much what Fort Pierce looks like today. And that's 20 years. And so that's why I can stay on the road and be very hopeful that we can go from a place like this to a place like this. That if it doesn't make all the sense in the world from the air, let's go to the ground. Now we see the value. Am I right about that? The human eye, the human heart is celebrated in one place. It's not in the other. Now, one makes less money. Indeed, the good news is once you get enough going on in your town center, there's going to be a much, much more ample flow of cash that you can invest in your parks and your memorials and your art and things like that. Now, here's how hard it is to do. I'm taking a real place, Marina, which is near Monterey, and this is the only remaining area in town that they have left to invest. And in fact, it's tighter than that. The Transit Authority wants to put in a new bus station. And in doing so, they're going to put in more parking for their employees and so on. And this is going to take out the last remaining place they could have built their town center. So we came in with a counter proposal. We said, well, you know, you can circulate your buses here. Your staff can park out away from the town center. That is not of value to the community. And they have buses they can come in on. And, well, they do. And now we have a place for a plaza. We can either go with this height, or this density, or this height with this density, bring in farmers markets, and now the transit center becomes the hub of the community. And so it's a matter of people working together to realize that we can no longer work alone by working as independent agencies and organizations. In time, we're going to end up losing it. And we don't have to go too far to see how true that is. Calgary did as bad of a job in laying out its transit-oriented design as Atlanta. That is none. All they did is built these massive parking lots. This is the most valuable land you can invent. And they fill it full of parking lots. And so my point is that they are now going to find a way to recover from these mistakes, just as Atlanta is doing it. But it shows where our thinking was just in the last decade. Now let's talk about the next important item. If we're going to have a hardy town center, we have to be focused on speed reductions. That getting the speed down is mostly an item of aesthetics. That the more beautiful a place is, the slower people drive. So my suggestion is everything inside this blue line in time would be 30 kilometers per hour. That's it, no higher. And everything is done to get the speeds to that level. Just as they're already doing it in Europe and parts of New Zealand and parts of Australia. That 30th Avenue, as we see as a marker, and then 32nd Street as the challenge would each be driving at the same speed over time. Now, if this is to happen, it's not a task of just the engineers. So as an example, you're approaching this signal, you know it's going to go red. What's your natural instinct? Yeah, and if you speed up, what are you doing with your life? But that's what we're seeing. But what if that area looks like this? Your natural instinct is to pull over, find a parking space, and spend $1,000. Am I right about that? Well, something like that. Okay. Two streets, same drivers. The first section is the first quarter to a half mile, and the next section, they didn't have the trees, they didn't have the on-street parking, and the speeds are truly 5 to 7 miles an hour different. Sometimes I see people going 15 miles an hour different. Trees on a main street bring down the speeds, they cool the street. The merchants in the stores make 12 cents more on the dollar. Actual fact. And so trees are our friends of rebuilding. The same is, by the way, true in your neighborhood. A home with a sidewalk and 2 trees basically is worth $20,000 to $40,000 more than the same house on a different street without the trees and without the sidewalk. We're starting to see how valuable it is to have the streets with the trees, and that's a big, and what I'd like to say, a natural part of not only the cooling, but the drainage, and then the value of the land. So I think it's very important that we are saying now we will get real science behind the value of trees, urban street trees, and be able to add the greatest meaning and worth to each home and to each business. But that is not what it has been in the past. Let's talk a little more about traffic calming. It does involve some geometric change. And in this case, notice all the different tools. Insetting the parking makes the road feel narrower. Using the curb extensions, the mini circle, trees again, good friend, and then roundabouts and other tools all being used to keep speeds low in your center city. Now let me introduce a couple of additional street types. This is one that you might want to consider for a couple of your streets. This is a curbless street. There is no curb. We also call it a festival street for reasons you're going to see. That when you go to have the festival, it's already the natural place for all the stalls and everything like that. Now let's get into the placemaking. I'm going to start with the study that you make, of course, of your portion of the center city. What type of buildings have you had? What culture lives here? Everything. And then you can come up with something that relates to that and gives you the massing, the buildings, the quality of place that now people can come, spend time, spend money, and so on. One of those remade places, again, Dunderave in British Columbia, Marine Drive, and one of the most aesthetic places I've ever been. A lot of focus and attention on a strong, compelling edge, a lot of color. We could go down to the lower Colorado, Utah, in fact. Don't want to call it Georgetown. St. George? Is there St. George, Utah? Yeah. Okay. And Cleveland, Ohio, can they do better than this? And because Cleveland hasn't done anything about this yet, I'm going to take you to Monterey where they did. Does everybody see where the old curb line was? By doing this one change, they got a cluster of 5 stores in. And now from about 6 in the morning until maybe 11 at night, people are just always hanging there. They took ownership of their neighborhood. It increased the value of all the homes in the nearby area. This is really what we're talking about. That you look at which areas you want to replenish first, what are the right locations. This might be an example. So if, that's not your best act, am I right about that? And you could do better. And so what if you start with the street, green it up, and take out the utility poles, get a building in on the right-hand side, and then as time and everything allows, a building on the other side. Now, my recommendation is load it up with parking, on-street parking. And, but truly, you're slowing the speeds, you're greatly increasing the value of the land and starting to define a character. Now, you may use a different building type. So let's go to another location. And this would be the final scene, of course. And by the way, our artist, I sent him a picture of the woman here, and he built her into the frame. So here we're looking along the railroad, is that right? And so, and again, this is all just in the realm of thinking through different options, different ways that you could approach the design, starting with the greening, starting with the compelling gateway, and then getting a building in. And again, this is a different building type. Your developers and architects would obviously figure out what would work best, and over time, how you would further populate these areas. Your current Greyhound station, now this was not done by a professional. I did this. This is what it looks like today, right? Everybody recognize that? And this is my attempt at tomorrow. But this, by the way, is an actual building that is an intermodal center. Bike lockers, showers, transit, and if you want to, you can still have the Greyhound right there. See? Now, how much can you get on one lot? This is 1/3, and I hate to use a U.S. measurement, but I don't know hectares yet, 1/3 of 1 acre. So 1/3 of a soccer field, would that be about right? Somebody help me out, somebody who knows these conversions. Okay. They got in a 6-screen movie house, 2 outdoor courts, a large shoe store, a delicatessen, a coffee house, and 30 dwelling units upstairs on 1/3 of 1 acre. And it's making very good money. First right of refusal goes to anyone who works for the city or the county. And then, of course, it goes to the free market after that. Then this has no parking requirement whatsoever. In fact, they took away a parking lot in order to build this because they already had a lot of parkades. Mixed use, a grocer with residential on top in Seattle. Another part of Seattle, again, mixed use, getting complete uses all on one block.